Okay, good afternoon. What we're going to be doing this afternoon is we're going to be grinding a threading tool bit, grinding it out of a piece of tool steel. And the very first thing that I want to show you is the geometry of the tool that we're going to be grinding. If you look at the drawing, we have a 60-degree included angle on the tool. We have several views, auxiliary views, and then we have the three main views for the tool. So that's what the geometry is going to look like. Now I'm going to, first of all, to assist you in grinding this, I'm going to put some red dichrome on the tool bit. And you can see what I'm doing. I'm just putting some red on all the sides so that you can see the geometry a little bit clearer. So I'm going to let that dry. I've got one that's already set here, so we're going to proceed, and I'm going to show you how we're going to lay this out. There is a standard gauge for this, and I want to show you what we're going to do. We're going to lay that out right in the center. You ready?
Yep.
Okay, so I'm going to be laying this out. All I'm going to do is scribe some lines on here so that we can see and have a clear line to work to. So I don't know if you can see that clearly, but I've got my geometry set on my tool bit blank. All right, so now we're going to turn the machine on, and I would like for you to stand away from the machine when we turn it on to make sure that we are safe. So I'm going to stand away. I'm going to turn it on for a few seconds before I introduce myself to the machine. Okay, now I'd like for you to kind of take a real close look at what I'm going to do. I'm going to put my finger down on the bottom so I can adjust or at least maintain the elevation of the tool. I want to maintain that elevation at a specific level, and I want to be able to control that. So I'm going to start grinding on this, and you're going to see a natural grind straight down on this, which is going to give me a slight angle, a compound angle, if you will. So we're going to start rough grinding this very quickly, and you can see it doesn't take a whole lot of effort to get a lot of grinding done. You got to try and keep that tool cool, so we want to cool it off. So I'll continue on and get it close to my line, and then we'll finish it off at the end. Again, let the tool bit or the wheel do the work. All you're doing is just moving it back and forth and trying to maintain the tool cool so that it doesn't turn any color. If the tool bit starts to turn colors, then we're starting to soften that tool bit. We want to make sure that it's nice and clean and shiny. Now the angle that I'm putting in along the back side, the relief angle, is approximately 10 to 12 degrees. So you can see that I have a angle on there, a compound angle, and I'll show you, or I'll try to demonstrate that using this other tool bit here. If I hold that tool bit straight up and down, you can see that it's really 90 degrees to that side. As I come around it, you'll see that it kind of kicks over a little bit. That's a 10 to 12 degree angle that I have there. And that's what I'm trying to do. I not only have this angle here, but I also have a compound angle here on the side. So I'll continue with this, get up to the line. And once I'm close to the line, then I'm going to stop and I'm going to proceed with the other side. So I'm going to go ahead and get going on the other side. Again, I want to hold that tool bit on my finger on the bottom. I'm holding my finger down here for the elevation that we were talking about earlier. And then run it back and forth on the wheel, and the wheel will do its work. Sometimes, in order to keep yourself nice and straight and level with this thing, it's really good for you to kind of focus yourself, center yourself on the trunk of your body, and you want to kind of move back and forth like a tree trunk. Rather than you using your hands, try to use your whole body and let the body go back and forth. Again, I am not putting pressure on the tool bit, I am simply running it back and forth. The grinding wheel itself will do the work. Again, I have that same geometry on this side. If you look closely, you can kind of see that it's starting to take shape there. I'm going to take it up to the line, and then I'm going to start to finish it. See, I'm very close to my line now. I'm going to finish it. Start to finish it on this side. And I'm going to develop myself a reference line. I'm going to pick one side, and that's the side I'm going to use for my reference. And then everything else will be referenced to that one particular side. Now, in this particular case, I'm going to use this as my reference. You can use either side again. I'm just picking this side. There's no particular reason why I'm doing it. I'm just going to select this side. And once I have done that, then everything else is going to be ground to that particular side. A little bit more, and we will be starting to finish this tool. So now, when I say I'm going to use this as my reference, I'd like for you to kind of look up at that glass window up there. I'm going to, all of the angles on this tool are 60 degrees. That's a 60 degree angle, that's a 60 degree, that's a smaller 60 degree, and this is a 60 degree. So everything on that gauge is 60 degrees. So what I was talking about is using this side here as my reference, and then taking that up, using the light to make sure that there's no light in there when I grind my tool bit. I've got a little bit of light there, so I've got to try and grind that out. Once that's done, the tool will be complete, with the exception of doing the top. So let's go ahead and try to finish that. So I'm very gently, very lightly grinding that surface. And then we're going to go back and check it with a gauge once more. We go back here, we check it with a gauge, run that gauge right up to it. I see no light on either of the sides, so I've got a 60 degree tool bit. Now the only other thing that I'm going to do with this tool bit, looking at my drawing, if I look at my drawing here, I've got a slight 3 degree taper on that top surface, which is the top of this. So as I'm looking at this part, that's the top of the part, and I see a 3 degree angle at the top, so it's higher on this side than it is on this side over to my left. So I'm going to get that 3 degrees placed in there, and I'm just going to basically touch the top of this tool bit very lightly, get that 3 degree angle in there. And once that is done, I will be finished with my tool bit. You can see I've got a little bit more to go here. Hold it nice and steady. And that tool bit is, for the most part, complete. Touch it up a little bit more. I think it needs a little bit more on this side. And we've got our tool bit. Now let's take a look and compare that tool bit to the drawing itself. So if we look at the drawing, we look at the top of the drawing, you can see that we have that geometry in that direction. We have this geometry in this direction. And we have this geometry looking at it from the end, just like so. Now if we look at it in that auxiliary view, just like that, there you can see what it looks like. You turn it over the other way, you can kind of see what that looks like. You turn it the back way, or the bottom side of the tool, looks like that. So that is the demonstration on the tool bit. I appreciate your attention. Thank you so much.